because you know what? I had hoped by now we'd be talking about we flattened that curve and we're cruising our way to we're past this thing. It's in the rear view mirror. No, it's glaring. It is right in front of us. It is looming bigger than ever due to, I'm just going to say it, a complete failure of leadership at many, many levels of this country, but particularly at the top and at the federal level. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about not the cause of these problems, but the effects now, right? Just when we thought and we hoped stores would be opening back up, shoppers would be out there moving again, it's looking like we're going to have to clamp back down. I want to start with, because I forgot you last time, I'm going to start with you first this time, Eric. I'm sorry. I want to know, from what is Prana seen in terms of effect due to the pandemic? Did it spike your mail order? Did it kill your order? What's been the effect so far, and what are you seeing in the near term?
The main thing that I've seen, even up to this point, 5 months in, is just the constant state of flux. It's impossible to get a straight, understanding of what's going on. And yeah, we did. The one thing that we've seen is a large spike in e-commerce, but it's not enough to make up for the business that's been lost at the retail level, although it certainly helps. It's the uncertainty of everything still moving forward that's just so frightening, and wondering how the fall season's going to go. The vast majority of books every year are sold in the fall, so how retailers are able to move new fall books is really going to be as important or more important than everything that's happened in the spring.
Right, and I would think now with Fanta sort of being focused more on books and on the bookstore market as well, a lot of that comes from browsing, people being in the shops and being able to see them, right? Online only goes so far for Fantagraphics. You said there's been a spike, but has there been a noticeable depreciation in orders, say, from the book channels as well as the direct market?
I mean, from March to June, you had every retailer in the country basically shut down, or at least operating at, with severe restrictions.
Is that affecting backlist orders more, or did it lower the front list orders on new stuff that's being solicited?
Everything. It depends on when you're talking about during, the pandemic thus far. I mean, when Diamond opened up in June and put everything that had been held up from in April and May and put it up on FOC, the orders were really pretty encouraging. But that was almost simultaneous to the government, encouraging everybody to open up that first week of June, and that's when the spikes went up. And I don't think we fully know what the picture is out there. I talk to our distributors, whether it's Diamond or WW Norton or Turnaround in England, and they don't even know how many accounts are open or closed from day to day, it seems like. I mean, there's a real lack of information and communication that started in March when buyers just weren't taking calls from distributors, and it's been crazy.
It's got to have a depressing effect even on the print runs that you're setting on books going forward and everything else, and that's going to play out in that way.
Yeah, I mean, in some respects, it's been business as usual. We've been, wanting to, we have to keep putting out books. We have to, we need to sell books to stay in business. So we're hoping for a holiday rebound, but it's affected print runs. It's affected all sorts of decisions.
Okay. Heidi, sorry, my video's frozen. Can you guys still hear me? Yeah. Okay, Heidi. So give me a clue on in the New York scene in general, and what's going on down there. Does it look like another wave of lockdowns? When is this?
Well, the New York scene that I know is what you see on the screen. I mean, I stay in my apartment most of the time, like most New Yorkers, because there aren't that many places to go. I mean, I go outside as much as I possibly can. But I actually did go to my local this week, which I hadn't done before, which is JHU Comics, a story shop. So I went in and hung out and talked to the owner, Nick, there, and he's hanging in there. I think everybody's hanging in there, and I wrote about this a little on the beat, but and I think I talked about it on my other podcast. But to me, the biggest thing right now is that the CARES Act has ended. Everybody I know who was unemployed, which is a lot of people, 1 out of 10 people, was getting unemployment, and guess what? They were okay. I mean, that's why mail order is staying strong. That's why e-commerce is still in there, because people were able to pay their rent and were able to pay their bills and had nothing to do but go online and shop. If they lose that money, I don't even want to think about what's going to happen.
Yeah,
we're going to see. And now I'm an eternal optimist, so I'm going to say that cheap entertainment is still something that does well in economic hard times. Comics have always done well in hard times, so I'm going to hope that still goes through. When they just released Mulan at home, you're going to pay $30 to see Mulan at home.
Wow.
So compared to that, buying I'll stand up for the pamphlet. A $5 comic book is a pretty good deal. So,
okay. Say, Brandon. So up in Canada, are you guys having as much controversy with people refusing to wear masks for whatever ridiculous reasons?
Yeah, on a quite a lesser scale. We're kind of mirrored in a lot of ways, and I'm in Alberta, which is basically Canadian Texas. So we're kind of rolling with that kind of stuff too. Our main cities, Edmonton, where I am, and Calgary, have actually, as of August 1st, masks are mandatory inside businesses. But for the most part, it's pretty business as usual. I live like a block and a half away from West Edmonton Mall, which may or may not be the world's largest mall. It depends on the moment. And they seem to have a lot of cars there all the time. I am terrified to go in there myself. But yeah, here in Canada, it's scaled down quite a bit, but partly I would say it is down to approach. Let's put it judiciously.
Okay. Adam, what are you hearing from your clients and your customers? Adam I call him a sequential sellsword. He is to the comic
business card.
So tell us, what are you hearing from your clients?
I'm hearing a lot from the retailers. I couldn't figure it out. Like, I'm talking to all these people who are saying they're seeing 50% of their annual revenue right now. I'm also talking to others who are saying that they're seeing huge, like, record-setting profits. It's like, and trying to balance out the two of those, I didn't quite understand, so I started poking a little more. And what I found is that Heidi's right. The CARE Act was huge, but beyond that, the stores have had access to cheap money. Like, they're getting these loans from the government that they're not going to have to pay off until they're in their 80s. So the stores themselves are doing okay, and they're versatile. I mean, part of the reason the direct market is still around is that there are all these individual stores. They're able to, like, stick and move and change as the dynamic changes, which means that they're going to survive this. I think I heard from stores who are keeping their doors locked so that if you come up to it without wearing a mask, you just can't come in. But if you are wearing a mask, the door gets unlocked. So we're seeing them being really versatile and very, very careful. I also heard from a publisher who's also a financial advisor this week, who said that he's telling his clients, and many of them, is that there are 3 things you get worth investing in right now. While the market is all up and down, it's gold, bullets, and comics as collectibles.
Bullshit.
Right? Because those are very stable, and you can always sell them, right? You can always sell golden age books and silver age books. So it is those things about what we sell that's going to get us through, and the versatility of the stores, I think, that is going to be that way. And it's also a place for community, even when all of your other places for community have been shut.
Okay, so gold, silver, and lead is the prescription. All right. Bill, I know you're out of the game. You're retired now, but man, you were on a globe-trotting trek that got cut short by this. So give us your thoughts on how this is affecting you and your and the economy and your spending.
Well, most of the panelists know me pretty well. That may be bad for them, I'm not sure. But one of my things that I really pride myself in is kind of analyzing the business overall. And first of all, I'm a very monotone person. So this is me super excited right now. So, if I won the $1 million lottery, my voice would be exactly like this. It's just pathetic.
It's true.
With that said, I've talked to about 200 retailers in the last 2 months. Most of my friends are the retailers, the store managers, the store clerks, the owners. Almost every store on the West Coast, when they opened 35 years ago, to qualify for a Pacific Comics wholesale account, I had to be there opening day. They didn't have to send in pictures. I visited every store. So I got to know the owners very early on. And my take is this, is I think there is a surge of so-called better business right now. I think that's going to be somewhat short-lived, only because there's been a pent-up demand to buy new material.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect that the balance of this year and quite a bit into the next year, we have some very challenging times ahead of us. I don't expect good leadership at any of the top levels, government or otherwise. No one's showcasing any kind of real long-term prognosis. And my feeling is that the retailers are going to have to really hunker down. Those that are being very creative, that are thinking outside the box, that are doing things they don't naturally do, have a better chance. I think the store count's going to be reduced dramatically. Hopefully not to the point of a critical mass, but I have a concern that as we get down to the store counts, and no one's reporting store counts right now, because I think it's not good news. We're going to have a problem where publishers are going to have a problem printing books for profit. So I don't want a scorched earth scenario, but
right.
As we lose, especially larger stores, on a per store basis, their stores are more meaningful from a volume standpoint than a brand new store.
Right.
Every store is important, but the more established stores have more volume attached to them. So when they close, it's like 4 or 5 little stores closing.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So when those big guys close, man, it hurts. It leaves a mark, and those are the leaders we need out there, and they're getting scorched pretty badly right now. I'm pretty concerned for them, and I'm hoping to do my little part here in a few weeks' time with some special initiatives that a couple of panelists here know about, but I haven't made it public yet, but I'm hoping to help a little bit. But we're going to need to have our own self-help routine ongoing.
Oops. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that the one thing that this pandemic has highlighted was that it's not just losers. Like, it's picking winners and losers based on their business model and their ability to adapt to that business model. Those that put in the work the last 5, 10, 20 years even to go online, make those investments, to have the systems to be able to handle mail order and do things effectively, were able to make the transition far easier than those that did not. So as if things work.
Although I will say also, by the way, someone else mentioned a little bit that the 2 big comic auction houses, Heritage and Comic Connect, Heritage out of Dallas and Comic out of Manhattan, they're reporting month after month record sales.
Yep.
I mean, monster numbers on previous month's numbers. So
I don't think that contradicts anything you already said.
No,
yeah,
what I think it shows is that those that have money feel like putting it into a high-priced item is as good as bet as any bet they have out there. Might be a better bet than real estate, or certainly gold is good and silver is good, but certainly banking money is terrible. There's 0 interest rates. But that's an encouraging sign, but it only affects 5 or 10% of the customer base.
Well, I think if what you're saying about lowered print runs is true, then Bill, then there will be pandemic comics, there will be pandemic collectibles because they're going to have such low print runs,
Right.
And we'll look back on this pandemic age. I think another thing that just I thought when this all began they would be done by the summer. Foolish me. And I mean, I never in my wildest dreams thought that we'd be here at the end of August and looking at the situation that we're in. And, I think as this drags on too, I think it gets harder and harder for a lot of people to kind of pull themselves out of it, and I think, in order for stores to prosper, something has to break through. I think there needs to be something really exciting, to happen. Every time I went to a Diamond Summit, Bill, all the retailers would be like, I need something to bring people into my stores, and I think we need something to get people excited about this, as we recover from this at some point. And
I was in central Italy when the Wuhan virus came over to Europe and kind of hit Italy. Northern Italy was the first foreign country outside China got really hit hard. And that was just 200, 300 miles above me. I'd been in Italy for a couple of months. And it got very clear to me that the Italians weren't taking it seriously, and therefore nobody else would either. And so without, quite honestly, a global shutdown, which is just basically almost unattainable,
impossible.
We're gonna be roller coaster riding for a couple of years. I mean, this is not gonna be a quick fix.
Wow.
Anyone says it's gonna be over at the end of this year, that's fantasy land.